I got ready in 5 minutes. No, so being well is holistic. Like the word holistic is from all angles. It's like the whole thing. So it's feeling energized to get through your day. And I don't mean like an artificial energy. I just mean like a good sustained, like I don't feel like I need a nap at 2 o'clock. I don't wake up tired. I don't lay in bed and have trouble going to sleep. So that's what that's what it means to be well to me. To feel good, to feel like I have the power to go through the day, and to not get sick, to be resistant to disease, and not feel like every time there's something going around, I'm catching it. That's part of being well. Cellular health. I don't think that I even understood, and I still don't fully understand. Like I'm learning. Every day I learn something new, and the day that I had a professor one time tell me, the day that I stop learning is the day I need to quit my career, right? And so from a cellular standpoint, like that's everything inside of us. And how do you energize cells? Well, you energize cells from everything. Everything is either energizing you, or that phrase that you hear commonly said, it's sucking the energy out of you. Well, there's truth to that. Like we literally are energy beings, and the things that we do are either sucking energy out or putting good energy in. So it really is everything. It's everything from the water that we drink, to the air that we breathe, to the music that we listen to the nutrition, the foods that we eat. Obviously, I believe in IV nutrition, hence the DRIPBaR, but that's just one component. I believe in all those other things too. And I like people to understand, like, reasonable expectation. One IV drip is not going to make you Superwoman or Superman, right? It's one IV drip is not going to fix everything. But really, it's a lifestyle. It's like one of those things that you put into the mix of, I drink great water. I'm a total water nerd. Like I could talk for an hour about water. I try to breathe outside fresh air. I try to get outside. There are, of course, things that we can do to energize your cells with IV therapy. And some of those are like all the rage right now, like NAD. Everybody's talking about NAD because they want to like be younger, like the fountain of youth, right? And so NAD, yes, that is one way that you can energize those mitochondria of the cells to create more adenosine triphosphate and power younger and more energetically than they were. But it's not the one single fix. It's not like you come in and just start doing NAD and then you can throw your diet, your other habits out the window and think you're gonna be really well. So wellness for me is a blend of a lot of things that I'm just willing to do them. Now that's not that I don't have my favorite little vices. I mean, I do. So I don't have like the cleanest diet ever, and I do enjoy a great glass of wine. I do enjoy a strong cup of coffee, but I make really wise choices. And I try to avoid chemicals because chemicals are everywhere. And so another thing that we do at the DRIPBaR is we help detox. You know, we know which drips are great for detox, and sometimes just committing to detox is fantastic, whether it's detoxing after surgery or detoxing from like a period of life where you've, maybe engaged, maybe been on vacation a few times and you've eaten everything, there, and you've gone to, you've overindulged, right? So after a season of overindulging, maybe just taking some time to like clean that out and maybe reset from from an inside out standpoint.
Could be missing.
Yeah, is this just rolling all the time? Okay. Yeah, sleep. That's one of those that a lot of people think they're sleeping. And that's like a lot of people are eating. Well, what's the quality of what you're eating? What's the quality of your sleep? And a lot of people will say, oh, I had these really vivid dreams last night, right? And if I'm dreaming, then, you're thinking, oh, I must have been like really in deep sleep. You're really not in deep sleep when you're dreaming. That's actually in your shallower sleep. And we have sound lounges at the DRIPBaR, and that's another area of wellness. I'm not the expert on the different, go from alpha to beta to gamma to theta, like all these deep brain waves of rest. But I have a gentleman who customized sound lounges for us, who has studied this for decades. He understands exactly like what frequencies of music do to really get you into like a truly restful state. And at the DRIPBaR, you can come and do like a 30-minute sonic bath experience, and it's equivalent to like really hours of deep sleep. So when we're sleeping at home, a lot of times it's just not quality sleep. So that's why people wake up tired. And if you're eating late at night, you're probably not going to rest really well. So some of that just kind of goes back into good habits of, I'm not saying, it's not always realistic to eat before like 6 o'clock, right? Because you don't get off work till 5. I don't even get off work at the DRIPBaR till 6. And I got 3 kids at home, right? So I get home but what I really try to do is I try to get my bigger meals in earlier. And then in the evening, I can have something light, and it just doesn't sit so heavy with me. So that's a strategy that I think works well for a lot of people with better sleep. And, it could be that you're missing some nutrients. And a lot of times, one of the things that we'll hear when somebody gets their first drip, and when we always follow up and say like, well, how did you feel? And one of the things we hear commonly is, well, I didn't really feel anything like immediately, but man, that night I slept great. And the next day I felt amazing. And so sometimes just giving your body like what it needs, intracellularly, getting those cells hydrated. Because your cell, you've got what's going on in the cell, intracellular, and you've got what's going on outside the cell, that's your extracellular. And a lot of times our cells do not have what they need to do anything well, including sleeping. And when you sleep is when you're healing. When you sleep, it's when your body does everything you need it to do. It's when your brain grows. For children, it's why it's so important for them to have good sleep, is because when they're sleeping, their brain is growing, right? Their brain is making new pathways and doing what they need to do to develop. When we sleep, we're healing. We're fighting off our immune systems, hard at work. While we're hard at rest, it's hard at work. So yeah, sleep is no joke. It's something that we all could do better. And if there are challenges that you have with sleeping, then maybe at the DRIPBaR there's some things that we can help you with that. Sometimes it might just be a drip, the Soother drip. The Soother drip is my least favorite drip because I don't like to be soothed. I can't afford to be soothed because when I get home, I have homework, throwing football in the yard, playing wiffle ball in the cul-de-sac, dinner to cook, home, just all the stuff. And I can't afford to just go home and sit and be soothed. But I have had that drip one time. And when I got home that afternoon, my son wanted me to throw football with him. I was like, can I just watch? Can I just sit here and watch you throw football? So it is a great drip, but it really does the trick at setting you at ease. And that's a good dose of magnesium. That's really what that is, among some other things in that drip. So I think, I don't know. I think we could probably talk about sleep with other experts because I'm not the expert. But I do know that it is a pillar of wellness, and I am intentional about my sleep. I'm intentional about no TVs in bedrooms. I'm intentional about keeping my phone away from me when I sleep. I'm intentional about it being dark. Like, I like it dark. And actually, I'm intentional about, this might sound like, I don't know, hokey pokey, but like, I believe that your circadian rhythm, it works with like this big ball of mud we live on that we call Earth, right? And you've got the moon and the sun. You're supposed to see the moon. You're supposed to see a sunset. You're supposed to see a sunrise, because when you see a sunset, the way your brain takes in those frequencies, you're starting to wind down, right? And then when you see the moon, moonlight is different. It's a completely different, the way our bodies take it in. So if you will spend time outside at night, you'll sleep like a baby. And similarly, now I'm not an early riser. That's my husband. I mean, he's up at 4:15 every day. I mean, he's up before the sun rises. That's crazy. But I do try to get outside first thing in the morning. If I'm not in the hustle and bustle of getting kids to school, which that is most days, even after that, I try to get outside for a cup of coffee, or just spend some time out out on the front of the DRIPBaR sweeping the doormat, right? Like, I try to start my day with some good sunlight, because it matters. Our brains, our eyes were meant to take that in, and it has a way of setting us at rhythm, and it feels good to have a good rhythm and a good routine. So I did have a great career in dentistry and loved it. I loved it. And I kind of kid my old boss, who's a great friend now. Dr. H, if you're seeing this on any kind of ad or video, I've learned so much from that man, and worked with him for over 15 years and loved the career. But I tease him because when he hired me, he said, "You have to sign a no spawning clause." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, in my 20s, I'm not even married. I'm not even thinking about having children yet. And what he was doing, he was teasing, but he was also, giving me a high compliment that he didn't want to lose me, because I was a great addition to his team. And clinically, I had a wonderful, wonderful career. And I love the clinical piece. I love, even in dentistry, I love oral health. But for me, it was always, the mouth is a gateway, right? Like, you can tell a lot about somebody from looking in their mouth. As a matter of fact, I went to see an acupuncturist one time, and I was floored that the first thing she did was look in my mouth. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, that's what we do. Like, we look at, and literally they can look at your tongue and tell you things about your body, just kind of like looking at the bottoms of your feet, or knowing the mapping of like what correlates from the bottom of the feet. So anyway, kind of a tangent there. I'm known for those. But anyway, so I always appreciated the oral systemic link. Like, how does the person's oral health link to their overall health? And that was something that we did really well at the practice where I worked. Our whole team was amazing. And I did love it, but that no spawning clause that my boss jokingly had me sign, which is just a total joke, but I kind of have joked on him that it worked, because when I was ready to get married and have children, and no fault, I'm just teasing, but it took us a long time to have kids. And so little did I know that I was going to embark on this infertility journey that was brutal. I mean, being told at 35 that you'll never have kids. Well, those are really strong words. And I didn't get married until 32. So, I mean, we wanted to wait a little bit, but then when we were ready to try, man, we were like at a wall. And so many things, so many failed cycles. A lot of people, believe it or not, when you start talking openly about infertility, you'll find that more people are a part of that club than you'll ever realize. Like, it's not a club you want to be a part of, but it's a tight club, and there's a lot of us in it. So fast forward, I've done 11 IVFs, and that's a lot. And I would do it all over again, because I have 3 amazing kids. But you do the math. I mean, the stillborns, the miscarriages, I've been there. I've had all of that. But my first pregnancy, my first birth was twins, and I'm going somewhere with this, because this was really that pivotal point. So I had twins, and one of them is my 11-year-old, and he's incredible. Love that little guy. But we lost his brother at that birth, and that was like, you want to talk about two emotions, the highest joy that you'll ever have of birthing a human being. It's incredible. It's something that's a gift that God gave to women. To be able to birth a baby is incredible. And then also in that same minute, to have to grieve the loss of a child, that's something no parent should ever have to do. Like just in the natural cycle of things, you think you'll outlive your kids. So losing a child is really tough. And those things, that happened to me in like 2 minutes. So anyway, because of that complication, there were some things that happened with me and my body because of having to take an antibiotic, which I had not taken an antibiotic in years. I had been on the wellness journey to some degree already for a long time. Like, I haven't done artificial sweeteners since I was like in my 20s. I didn't do a lot of them then, but sometimes they're hidden, like that, just hidden in a sports drink or something. And so I have not done artificial sweeteners in a long, long time, and don't do high fructose corn syrup. Just ask my kids. They're like, come on, Mom, But no, I don't do that. So there are a lot of things that I had already kind of put myself into on a wellness journey. But when I had Ronick and Austin, I had some complications that made me have to take an antibiotic. And when I did that, it just threw my whole system into like out of whack. And like, what the heck do you do? And my pediatrician at the time was so fabulous. And he knew he was at the end of his rope in a sense of what he could do. He knew how to prescribe antifungals. We tried all those. And then he finally got to the place where he's like, I've tried everything I know to try that they taught me in medical school from a Western medicine standpoint. But what I know is that I don't know everything, and I'm not meant to know everything. I'm meant to partner other people that know stuff that I don't know. And he sent me to my first functional wellness doctor. At that time, I jumped into the functional wellness doctor, relationship, and have learned a ton from him over the years. My kids have been in the care of Dr. DRIPBaR for their whole lives. And I mean, we do see a pediatrician as well, but functional wellness was just, man, I started deep diving into things. And so everything from muscle testing to, my kids have never been on an antibiotic, which is cool. And I haven't taken one either since the birth of my twin boys, and had not taken one for years prior to that. So fast forward 3 kids, and 10 years later, my husband asked me, like, what do you want to do? Like, we're not having any more kids. We're done with that. We've done 11 IVFs. We have 3 beautiful children. We're done. And I was completely done. And I just told him one day, I said, I want to start an IV therapy, an infusion place. And he was like, where did that come from? And honestly, what had really caused me to pivot on that was COVID. Because I realized during COVID that IV vitamin therapy, like high dose vitamin C, is so beneficial. And when you can, and sometimes just getting we've seen a ton of people this winter with the flu, with COVID, and they come in and they just, they're like, anything I can throw at this. And we have a flu fighter drip that I love. I love it. I do it a lot. I might do it today, as a matter of fact, because I haven't dripped in a couple of weeks and I want one. But anyway, high dose vitamin C is very beneficial, especially when you're fighting off a pathogen. And I just realized that I believe that lives could have been saved through making IV therapy more available, instead of people going to the hospitals and maybe not having that service available because the clinicians there it wasn't an approved protocol to treat COVID, because at the time nobody really knew. I mean, COVID was just a mess. So no fault to anybody. It's just why were there restrictions on what you can do? I mean, golly, if you're sick, attack it from every angle, because like that goes back to the whole holistic thing. Like, yes, you know, modern Western medicine totally has a place. If I have an acute something, I want the most rock star surgeon, anesthesiologist, man, I want those people. But I don't just put my health in one category. It's like a blend of bringing everything. So I knew that we lacked this in our community and was passionate about bringing IV therapy to Greensboro. And my husband reluctantly but very supportively jumped in, and here we are a year later and loving it. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of hours. It's 6 days a week, but we're loving it, and I love my team, and we have a great time, and the kids are getting to see mom work, which is good for them. It's good for them to see me work. I mean, we see that every day. So yeah, there's a reward in every day. Because whether it's another practitioner coming alongside us saying, wow, you know, there's somebody else in this niche. You know, as a matter of fact, I have opened up the DRIPBaR to host something we call the Hive, the last Thursday of every month. And it's really just a place, like it's a free event. Like I'm not here to make money off of collaborative efforts where, you know, we all need to get together and leverage each other's strengths and learn. Like I was telling you about my friend who made the sound lounges. I would like to know, like, I know about this much. I would like to know just this much of what he knows, because Alexander is phenomenal. My friend Linda, naturopath, I would like to just know this much of what she knows, but it's really rewarding to see people like that coming along aside the DRIPBaR, kind of partnering me in a way with, you know, events like the Hive, because we want everybody to have a chance to learn, because knowledge is power. Like I think that's a quote in, I don't remember who the author of that book was. I'm drawing a blank, but it's, you know, knowledge is power when properly applied, right? And your health and wellness, sometimes it's just that people don't know. And then once they can learn, then they can apply it and see transformative, you know, changes in their health. And we see people that are getting off medications. We see people that are just feeling better. You know, we see people that are healing, you know, from the inside out. And of course, again, that's a journey that's, you know, I don't promise healing to anybody. That's something that has to take place in each person's body. And there's a deep dive into healing and what all goes into that.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Take that and run.
Yeah, no. And I appreciate you just like being